everybody. Hello, many of you are still with your eyes closed. That's perfectly fine. Just listen to my voice. Welcome. My name is Alma, and I'm glad to be here practicing with you tonight. Any first timers? Welcome. Anybody else? First time at the Dharma Bum Temple? Welcome. Somebody's like, no. Not a beginner's mind today? Okay. Whatever. It could be your first time if you want to. Any questions? Any comments? Anything to say at this moment?
Just really happy you mentioned beginner's mind because I just started reading my book again. Working on trying to cultivate that. So maybe it is my first time.
Yay! Exactly, get a redo. Perfect. So far, anything that is resonating with you, anything that you can say about beginner's mind?
I often, probably mostly think that I know what happens in meditation, but I think that that's probably an illusion, maybe even a delusion. And I think that I'm trying to maintain curiosity about practice. So I really don't know it as well as I think I do.
I love that. Yes, thank you for saying that. Anybody else has an expectation about today's practice? Maybe like a transformation, some level of magic, anything like that? New brain connections, anybody know? No?
Just enlightenment.
Enlightenment. Oh yeah, just. If I could just really quick get there. And you will. And then it's gone. Yes. Perfect word. A lot of us might have heard that meditation is the way to enlightenment. I mean, the Buddha did it. It's the Buddhahood within us that we get to explore. And maybe we've reached that level of enlightenment. So, what's enlightenment for you? A light bulb that comes up. The aha moment where everything makes sense. Yeah? No? Maybe. Where nothing makes sense. Yeah, right? More like that. Okay, good. Nothing makes sense. I think that's in the space that I've been lately. For some of us that take on practicing meditation and exploring the concept of beginner's mind or having nothing about anything and everything, we might come across nonsensical, delusional, cynical, sometimes resigned. You don't care enough. Yes, I don't. Took a lot of practice, right? To detach from my level of caring that had me stressed out and anxious most of the time. Like, honestly, I like the concept of not attaining something as an outcome. I like the concept of detaching as an outcome, potentially clearing some space. Anything to say about that?
Yeah, I like that idea of making space. I'm, at least in part, what's bringing me here is I've just been all my life very captive to all the voices in my own head, anger, shame, fear, and they're just voices, but I listen to them. And I think being here and meditating for me is not making those voices go away, but just giving myself the ability to just pause before I react to those feelings. And maybe for me, enlightenment is just that space of just being able to listen and not do anything but just listen to the voice.
Yeah. In the same book he's reading, it's almost the concept of the observer. Like, hey, God, there you are again. Yes, I have bad luck, or whatever is running in your head. This day sucks, or this person doesn't appreciate me, or whatever world you're fitting in. Interestingly enough, thoughts feed into emotions. Emotions lead to actions or reactions, like you express. It's all in the world of practice. It's going back to the source. What's feeding into my emotions, my thoughts. A little further, what's causing this action or reaction in my life? Let me look into what's going on in my world, what's going on in my body, what's going on in my mind, in this space. What thoughts are running through my head, almost an automatic? What thoughts am I feeding in this moment? In Zen practice, meditation practice, we don't engage, we don't push away or reject. It's almost like dancing with your thoughts, observing your thoughts. Putting it in words of beginner's mind, it's almost like when I think, here we go again, I'm rolling my eyes already. Like, oh, here we go again. When I get in the space of repetitiveness, my patience goes out the window. Anybody else? So beginner's mind has been my resource to say, hey, here we go again, a new thought. Maybe similar, maybe familiar. But if you think about it. And what I can share about silent retreats, even though the thoughts might sound or look different, if you really condense them, it's 2 or 3 different areas of your life that you're like, for me, work, relationship, and whatever I have to do at home. Because I'm on tasks, right? So if you really think about your thinking, it's usually 2 or 3 areas. Repetitiveness. Anything to say about that?
It's sort of goofy. We went to see Inside Out 2. I don't know if anybody saw this. I think it's kind of fun because, at least for me, I now have all those little faces in my mind. I can hear, oh, that's anxiety. Oh, that's fear. That's joy. And having faces to feelings somehow makes it easier to dance with them, perhaps, for me.
Oh, yeah. Recognize that.
So it's sort of silly, but it was kind of a fun movie.
Yeah, I love it. I have to say. I love that. And in the same concept and in the same conversation that we were having, if you consider that what we're creating here in this practice is awareness, the level of awareness that you have about identifying the different emotions. I was sharing the last practice last month that most of us practice 2 emotions, like master them. For me, anger and sadness. I go to those spaces really quick. However, we have hundreds of emotions and sensations that we experience in one day. However, the level of awareness that we can create might give us the advantage of identifying other spaces that we're exploring, other energies that we're processing, other emotions that we haven't identified in the past. To give you some context, I've been practicing meditation half of my life. I'm a Reiki master, yoga teacher, and I also work in the space of end-of-life care. So when it comes to bereavement services, I lead grief Reiki circles. And I talk about grief, how sometimes we hold on to anger. But what's underneath it is a lot of sadness, sorrow, and other emotions that we're not willing to explore because you never know what's going to happen and you kind of think that you already know what's going to happen. So again, in the same space of exploring the surface, going into practice and having a body posture, breathing awareness also causes that level of consciousness that might provide a new insight or maybe just some space, a sense of relief. Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, I don't, when a thought pops up for me, I'll bring my attention back to the breath. So I'm not engaging with the thoughts, so they're not going down any pathway. I mean, sometimes they do, and then I realize, oh, I went down the pathway, oh, bye. And go back to focusing, concentrating on the breath. And that's what creates, for me, present moment awareness. And that's why I'm meditating.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to keep hauling back the whole time. But it's not consciously engaging. I'm not using meditation time to think through my life.
Right.
Or to notice what's going on in my body. It's just to be.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because maybe when you heard the word insight, you're like, ooh, the solution of my problem. However, sometimes insight, it is that light bulb when you're like, it doesn't matter. There it goes, you know. And thank you, because that's why we're practicing silent meditation, just to focus on posture, breathing, awareness for the most part, body awareness for the most part. Going back to your breathing, even just like, because some of us even focusing on our side, having our eyes a little open might cause distraction. So like focus on the tip of your nose, like literally visualize the air going down, and then that works. Or just noticing the rhythm of your breathing. I actually utilized somebody in the back because their side was really relieving. And I just wanted to jump in. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm tensing my stomach. I'm like trying to look good in front of you, you know? It's like, no. How's my breathing? Am I breathing through my nose? Am I breathing through my mouth? Am I letting my stomach breathe? Am I flowing with it? Am I controlling my breathing? So very, very good. Practice just like that. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
As somebody with not a lot of knowledge, I understand the basics of what a Vipassana meditation is, which is breath.
Mm-hmm.
I had the benefit of being without having to work and away for a few months, and I took the idea of Vipassana meditation, but I was in a very crowded place, and I was having a lot of conflict around me, and I took the kind of idea, and I would go meditate when I would find myself wanting to have a strong reaction, and I would actually, as opposed to my breath, make the emotion, what I'm feeling in my body, the object of my meditation. And because I have months to do that, I can now identify the emotions in my body before they influence my thoughts when I practice enough. But is there a name for that? Do you know? Because I don't know if that's a thing or if I just did my own thing.
A little bit of both. And whatever works, honestly.
All right.
Even though sometimes I make myself wrong because I want to keep it traditional and by the book, I'm very fluid in the sense of combining different things. Mindfulness, it's the whole concept of awareness. It's in the world of mindful action, mindful breathing, mindful. In Reiki, we even do the body scan, which when you were talking about it, it kind of sounded like you're just doing a scan, going through your feet. Sometimes I kind of guide it like that here, but it's silent meditation. So again, we are our own guides. I'm just here to practice with you. On a leading session, it might be a body scan is literally going through your feet, your ankles, your knees, like what's the sensation, any thoughts, any emotion, any color. So it sounds like you're exploring somatic practices, breath work, if you might call it. It's how I describe it. And when you were talking about it, it even brought me to Kundalini Yoga. However, Kundalini Yoga, a lot of those exercises are really fast-paced. So it's like, and it activates the blood flow. It's a whole different level. You get a sense of, and meditation might happen. Either you really relax, or you get out of here and you go to your house. You know, hopefully. But ultimately, it's in the space of guided meditation. There's other teachers in this temple that have guided meditations, mindfulness. It's another practice. And I volunteer at the Kids Sangha as well, and we do even metta practice, which is loving kindness, which is in the world of cultivating an emotion and then sending it out to whoever you want. So those are some other names that you can use. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
And right, there's so much to learn in that sense. And you, even saying focusing on our breathing, it's a huge concept. Now you have breath work as a current on its own because we can do so much with our breathing. In Reiki, we mark the exhale a lot because it's our sense of release. In this moment, I take everything I need and I let everything go that is no longer serving me. Did you know that most of us don't exhale? It's not your birthday, there's not a candle in front of you. No. So check your breathing in this next section once we go back to practice. Anything to complement, anything to share from your experience about the conversation we started? Great. Let's do this again. For the first time. Today I am sharing with you Send Happiness from Dharma. We are born again with each new day. Words, both true and kind, can change the world. Be someone you want to be around. What we do now is what matters most. What we think, we can become. With our thoughts, we create the world. When you reach the top, keep climbing. Be kind to yourself. Whatever you do today, let it be enough. Three things cannot remain hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. You, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and respect. From stillness, life rises. May all beings have happy minds. Any questions? Anything to share?
I don't think there's very much to add to the book. You must said everything.
It said it all.
You know, sometimes where my mind goes when I think about like Zen masters is this level of wisdom, enlightenment, that they can say so much in one sentence, right? It did remind me of Beginner's Mind. It did remind me of the space of being in the silly, goofy, childlike mindset, which is pretty similar, at least for me. Where my mind went right now is one of the reasons that I share family yoga is because all the joy that brought to my eyes in the shape of tears, because I connected with a side of me that was kind of numb. And that's why I also volunteer at Kids Sangha. Because some of those kids are like this book, you know, like, whoa, you're 6? Okay. Little Buddha, I recognize you. So, food for thought. Anything else to say?
I have a question. How do you combat fear with compassion? I mean, just to give you some perspective, like I have these recurring nightmares where there's this like dark force, this dark mass, and it's like smothering and constricting me and like whispering all these things of how it wants my life to be corrupted, and like it feels like it's trying to control me. But then I recently had a dream where there was this really dark, shadowy figure, like this masculine form, standing in my way of the door, and I just asked it, "Who are you?" And it said, "I'm your subconscious." And I was like, "Whoa, what's going on in there?" But I'm still continuing to have dreams like about like spiders and like just weird little things that scare me, and I'm like, how do I face this fear and work through it?
Yes.
I don't know.
Dream interpretation is one of my hobbies.
Yeah.
And when you're sharing this, where my mind goes is how many of us have the concept of darkness as something bad,
Yeah.
evil, intimidating, I don't know, what other words. Or maybe you're like, I don't even want to talk about it, like darkness, I'd rather stay in the light. Well, human beings, we are light and darkness in the same space. And fear is one of the emotions that can overcome your whole body. You can go into freeze mode really quick, right? It's like, but I'm so strong. I have all this knowledge. How come I feel so tiny in front of this, shadow or energy? Even that side of me. I don't think it's a replacement. Coming from Zen practice is not remove the fear and add compassion or self-love. Like what I will invite you to explore is, and actually I can give you the website that I use, some of these symbols are the opposite most of the time. Some of these meanings that you might give to these symbols might be in the incorrect context. These might be information or symbols that might bring some type of information to your awareness, right? That's how I present it. However, fear rules and takes over your sense of stability, your sense of safety, your sense of being protected and supported by this world. It has to do with the root chakra. Hips, legs, knees. Check it out. So imagine that your whole world is like very unstable when you're in the sense of fear. It has to do with these organs, it has to do with these muscles, it has to do with these areas, it has to do with the lack of. So my invitation will be, what meaning are you giving to these symbols? What information are you feeding when this shows up for you? Because it's in the sense of practicing empty and meaningless. It's in the world of practicing, I have nothing about it. Especially if it's your subconscious, right? It's almost like, hey, listen, something that you don't have in your radar or is running in automatic is ruling your life. Instead of kind of having the conversations we were having where you're like, hey, hi fear, I see you, you're here, I'm here. Breathing in and out. Obviously, if you wake up out of a nightmare, you're not going to be in the space of meditating, or you wake up in a state of panic, you might not be in the state of meditating or creating unity. However, you might be in the space of just being with it. In this moment, I'm in panic. In this moment, I'm in fear. Is it going to be permanent? It feels like it, no?
Sometimes.
Yeah. However, that's where we can take on the breaking through the pattern of repetitiveness. I see you with new eyes, a different angle, as my teacher. What's coming up for you? Anything to say?
Just sounds like the answer is awareness and acceptance, I guess. I do feel like it's been lessening lately, so I think I'm working through it somehow. I don't know. I'm trying to derive the meaning from it, but I guess maybe it doesn't matter.
If you ask a Zen teacher, it doesn't. However, our human mind is it was made to think. We're a mini making machine. So it's almost fitting that. However, if you're looking for peace, for comfort, if you're looking for that information that might make a difference, it's, but like you said, bringing the awareness and also creating space to focus on the opposite. Meaning, like I mentioned, fear usually takes over your sense of feeling safe, your sense of feeling stable in life, and moving forward with the strength that you have within. So maybe exploring what's going on in those three.
Okay, thank you.
I saw your hand.
I was just going to add that you talk about three poisons in Buddhism: greed, anger, and fear. The antidote to greed is generosity. The antidote to anger is compassion. The antidote to fear is wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom and acceptance.
Yeah. And thank you, because I wanted to come back to that. Acceptance is not, it is the way it is. I mean, you can say it in the sense of I add no meaning to it. However, it's also awareness and acknowledgement. It's not like aversion, repulsion is like, hey, I see you, I'm in fear, I'm in anger, I'm experiencing this. And that's where the sense of relief might come in. When you stop resisting it, no? It's like my breathing earlier. Like, I even feel more expanded in my posture. Some of us, when we start resisting, we get tense in our body. That's why we're practicing posture, so that way, the more you relax, it's even like you can even extend your spine. You feel like more aware. Did you want to add something over here?
Oh, I forgot it. I was listening to you.
Thank you for being present and giving up
My
your
mind was
knowledge.
just clear.
Oh, good. And Joe, and then it's back.
It was perfect.
And then it was cool again. Those are the moments. Enjoy them. Anybody else? Any other contributions? Anything else to add?
Maybe I have a physical, I'm very visual, as you can tell maybe. I had experience with the dark, and I was kind of this notion of fear and darkness, and dark is what you can't see, so therefore you don't know, and that is where fear perhaps helps feed fear. One of the things I found fun at some point was to go into the woods in total darkness. And the part that's really cool is if you just go in there, and at first it's like really freaking dark. But if you just go and you sit there for 15 minutes, it's not so dark anymore. You can see. And to me, it was sort of an allegory for the notion of the fear, too. I think it's kind of what you're saying. If you sit with the fear, and you just give it time and give it space, and don't choose, if you can, not to react to it, maybe you'll be able to see through it better. And maybe there's not so much to be afraid of.
Yeah.
To me, it was kind of a cool physical experiment that I could. What at first was dark, wasn't dark if I was patient.
It's like our ability to adjust and adapt is one of our biggest capacities of learning and adjusting. Going back to your conversation, and in that sense of what you're describing, many of us, when you said that, I was like, ooh, uncertainty. I actually used Pema Chodron, being comfortable with uncertainty's book in one of my teachings, because I was in the same space, like, I don't know, therefore I'm anxious, I'm fearful, like what's going to happen, I was in the space of, okay, the darkness is not my friend right now. However, it might be like reverse engineering, I sit with my fear, what's behind it, what thoughts are generating this fear? Is it uncertainty? Is it me being uncomfortable with the change or transition that I'm experiencing in life? Is it me not being willing to see what's going on in my inner world? Maybe it's me feeding my outer world way too much and feeling like those energies are overcoming my own sense of truth. So just throwing it out there, because sometimes it's just the thoughts that we're feeding, the ones that are causing these emotions. We're more familiar with the emotions, but then, like you said, when we start checking what's behind it, it's like, oh, it doesn't even make sense. Oh, it's not that relevant. Oh, it's not that important. So that's when we start being the observer of our own minds, and we start questioning our own thoughts and not necessarily feeding into them with velocity, like we sometimes do. Thank you for saying that. Anything else to add? Anything else to remove? Take it back. Sorry. Well, I'm gonna end the live, but then Meredith